This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone. My name is David Myers, and I'm the Executive Director of the Conservation Finance Alliance. And we are very excited here to have this is actually the first webinar that we're running that's related to the Conservation Finance Alliance Incubator. So this webinar is sponsored by the CFA Innovation Working Group, and we're over the course of the next, I would say, year, we're going to have a range of different presentations from groups that either applied to the incubator. Um, can I ask people to shut off their microphones if they're not going to be talking here? That's a personal thing there that you'll do. And so we'll have a range of uh, presentations. And the first one today comes from South America, and it's Preserve and Community. And we have Diego Rigi, who's going to be presenting their very innovative platform that facilitates the flow of capital to priority conservation projects. And I won't tell you more, but what we're going to do is we're going to hear from Diego. We're going to have plenty of time for some questions and answers. And to do that, what I'd like you to do is type a question or the topic of your question into the chat box, into the chat screen, which you can get to from the top right and other places on GoToMeeting. And when the time comes, we will ask you to unmute yourself, and then you can ask your question directly. And that way we can at least control the order of who gets to speak and who gets to ask questions. And so anyway, without further ado, over to you, Diego, and look forward to hearing your presentation. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, David, for the intro. Thanks a lot for the time scheduled, and hello to everyone. We appreciate your time today. This is Diego Rigorigi from Chile. We live in the southern part of Chile, in northern Patagonia, in a small town called Villarrica, which is we have mountains, lakes, and we get a lot of tourism down here for watching nature. So today we're gonna present you about some conservation finance examples in action applied. So first things first, who we are. Who we are. This is Manuel there. It's an architect. He's the one founding PiC, which stands for Preserve in Community, in 2014. And a quick intro of preserving community history. It started in 2014 as a positive impact startup company. Manuel raised initial impact capital in 2014, and that's how the company started. In 2016, we won a prize to go to MIT in Massachusetts to present our project in the Latin American startup competition, where we got second place. But the most important is that we got an invitation to an immersion program in Ritchie Foundation, which is a childhood cancer foundation that supports impact projects such as ours. And we got a mentoring team of 4 people, and Ramon Sanchez, who is Harvard professor in the health department and also associated to the Harvard Forest. He was in charge of us mentoring, and we stayed there for a month. After we returned to Chile, we had to start all over again. We developed the second version of our platform. We had a new team, and we raised some impact capital again to develop this new platform. And at the end of 2017, we launched our platform with the Ministry of Environment of Chile, with the president of the company association in Chile, with the Bárbara Saavedra, who is the executive director of WCS Chile. So inviting everyone to be part of this new kind of conservation financing. I invite you to read this in everybody, so everybody can read this for a few seconds. So these three ideas basically say there is an objective, a goal, but there is no actual plan to get there, and that a third of the solution comes from nature and the importance of protected areas. So this is what the value we create is value for NGOs, especially to conservation NGOs, so they can transform their research, knowledge, and experience in ready to finance nature-based solutions. So how to create value or how to create assets about your investigation. Powered by PiC Parks means that we are technology providers for building sustainable financing. So why financing conservation projects with or through matching with companies' sustainability programs? Sustainability programs are part of the budget, annual budget of companies, and it's part of the cost of companies. So that means companies have to spend money year by year in sustainable programs. Companies focus on their core business, which is of course not conservation. So we try to match NGOs, conservation NGOs whose core business is conservation, with companies whose
Diego, I'm afraid we've lost your sound. Sound and video right now. If you can perhaps turn your video off and see if that improves the quality. If you can hear me. Apologies, everyone. If you could just hold on. We'll be right back as soon as Diego's able to reconnect here. That assumes, there we go. Diego, can you hear us? Sorry, Diego, we can't hear you right now. If you can hear us. Okay, you may have to try to log out and log back in again. While Diego's trying to figure that out, let me just perhaps talk a little bit more about let's see, I guess he's trying to get it back on. All right, that's a good sign. We just talk a little bit more about the CFA and some of the activities that we've been working on. It's a great opportunity since I already have everyone on the line. If you're not familiar with the Conservation Finance Alliance, we are a global network of conservation finance practitioners and experts, and we have several activities that are ongoing. The CFA incubator is probably one of the most active and important ones, in which we did a call for proposals back in December. Diego, are you back on?
Yeah.
Can
you listen good?
We hear you now. Yeah. And
okay.
Yeah, and so
sorry for that.
Okay,
we have as we are far away from the city, we have.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Okay, so Buddha carbon footprint program means it's a one-on-one match. It's one company and one NGO. This is how you.
Sorry, Diego, could you just go back one slide and maybe make that a full screen? Yeah, maybe. I think you may have to go back a little bit. We lost your connection right at this slide here. Yeah.
Okay. So powered by PiC means that we are technology providers. We are a technology company who supports conservation NGOs to build sustainable financing. And so why to finance conservation projects matching companies' sustainability programs? Is because sustainability programs are part of the annual budget of companies. It's a recurrent spending of companies, and companies focusing on their core business, which is of course not conservation, so they can match conservation NGOs whose core business is conservation. That's the basics of our business. And instead of explaining what we do, we chose to give some examples of conservation finance in action. The first one is Buddha, which is a cryptocurrency, the biggest in South America. Here you can see it's in Chile, Argentina, Colombia, and in Peru. It's a platform for trading cryptocurrencies. And the problem here, the company, that Bitcoin mining consumes the electricity of a whole country like Belgium or the Philippines. So in this case, Buddha wanted to, the first thing they did is they became carbon neutral in their operations, so they can invite clients to offset their carbon footprint. So how does it go? Here, we put the links on every example, so you can feel free to take a look at them later. But here is one transaction. It's approximately 20% of a ton. So that's the value for each transaction. And here's how many tons are compensated, and 100% goes to the NGO. How does it look like? This is about $1.5 per transaction. Of course, it depends on the value of the Bitcoin, but as of last Friday, it was $1.5 per transaction. This is the protected area. It's a government protected area in a lake. This is a urban wetland. And the financing potential, this platform has about 5,000 transactions per month at $1.5 per transaction, stands at $7,500 per month, which is the potential of this financing. And this platform is growing 25% annual. Again, there's the links, so you can check them later.
Diego, can I interrupt you just for 1 second? If you can close that side panel on the
there.
Yeah, that makes it much larger. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Okay.
So here, in this case, there's one company and 6 NGOs. So Santander is a bank, huge bank like global bank, and what they develop is targeted to people here, which stands for person. This is the main web of the bank. And they structure it as a service for customers aimed at raising awareness about the impact of their carbon footprint. So what do they do? Each client, this is here in the screen, you can see this is my wife. She's a customer of the bank, and she received this every month. This is for October, and this is her spending in money, in Chilean pesos, and in red there's the conversion to kilos of CO2, and they have different categories here. So this is for October. My wife had a 265 kilos of carbon, and this is how it distributes. So customers get this monthly report, and they can compensate voluntarily their footprint. So it's about, in this case, it's about $6 per month. It's voluntary. And in this case, we have 6 NGOs here, which is WCS Chile, local ones, and in different parts of the city and the country, sorry. And the financing potential, this bank in Chile has 1 million clients just here in Chile. And it's a global bank, very big in Latin America and of course in Spain, and through Sovereign Bank in the US and England. So next case, it's about tourism and local economy. Actually, this is how we started. And in this case, it's 2 companies and 3 NGOs. But here the important thing is that the company is paying, because they use it as a loyalty program, which is not the sustainable program. In this case, it's marketing. We go to the marketing budget here. So how does it look like? Here we have 2 alternatives. One hotel doing customer loyalty programs, and they give a donation of $9 per people traveling with there. It's a way of thanking them for choosing Andes Nativa. And Agua here, this hotel, they do in the checkout process, they do a parallel process for people to donate or compensate their traveling. So in this case, it's $9 per reservation or voluntary at the checkout in the hotel. And here we have 3 conservation NGOs, and the annual visitors to this small town in northern Patagonia, which is Puerto Varas, it's 40,000 visitors. So that's the financing potential. And in this case, I'm putting you here because here Andes Nativa is donating. It's not people donating here, but it's Andes Nativa. People just trigger the donation or the compensation. And we are doing here. In this case, this is 9 companies and 1 NGO. So just this is different. And this is looked from the NGO perspective. The NGO is the one creating her own like matching platform. In this case, it's a Torres del Paine NGO, which is like our most visited national park. And here's their webpage. And the important thing is here is that it's not one program from the NGO, but it's 9 different programs of the NGO. It's tailor-made sustainable programs for each NGO, for each company, sorry. Each company always wants to have their own and personalized carbon footprint program. So in this case, this NGO offers this different programs to finance their operations. And so they use it for all this new people they get. They use it to grow their supporters platform, to reach new supporters, which are outside, of course, the conservation world. And they offer full traceability, transparency, and accountability to companies in their sustainability programs. And this is a little bit different. is how can you structure your own conservation bank? In this case, the GEF, the Global Environmental Facility program in Chile works with the Ministry of Environment. And in this case, the GEF and the Ministry of Environment of Chile, they created their own bank to work with municipalities. So here it says 30 municipalities in the metropolitan region and 6 municipalities in the Valparaiso region, which concentrate more than 50% of the population in Chile. And in this case, we have 3 different sources of financing. The first one is donations, like democratizing philanthropy. That's what they do. And then again, they added 2 additional sources of financing, which is legal CO2 emission offsets and legal biodiversity offsets. So in this case, the program works directly with 9 municipalities in 2 regions, offering tailor-made, here are the municipalities, and this is what the GEF program sees, but every municipality gets their own version. So here, for example, there is this, here, these are the municipality logos and the projects they are supporting. And so in this, the town hall of Alwe is supporting 2 projects in their territory. Here we can see the corridors, the mountain corridors they're creating and working with municipalities, so they have their own muscle of financing their municipal projects. So all these examples, we focus on nature as a service. What is nature as a service? We use this from the software industry, and the software industry has a business model called software as a service, which is an implementation fee and a recurrent fee for using the platform. So we just change it to nature as a service because, as we explained in the initial part of our presentation, NGOs are the one who are structuring their investigation experience as an asset to generate these services to companies. And the important thing is that every company gets their own personalized compensation programs. We saw Santander, we saw Buddha, the cryptocurrency platform, we saw the tourism examples, and we saw the GEF example, and we saw the NGO, this one, conservation. And our business model, we charge companies, and in this case, we charge the GEF and the NGO for more complex setup of their own personalized banks. And so we are basically a personalized matching platform. So NGOs, associations, and conservation funds can create their own matching platforms and tailored main services for companies. NGOs get 100% of the compensations, no commissions apply. You get your own, cash collection in your accounts. We do not get in the middle. And it's personalized portals, how we said, and you can manage your inventory of projects square meter by square meter. I'm gonna explain you later about that. And you can do monitoring by milestone accomplished in the execution of your projects. How can we do this? This is the technology which is our platform is based, and we created a conservation currency, which is a tracking ID that allows traceability, and with that transparency and audible financing for offering the sustainable programs. And here is one PiC, it's equals to 1 square meter, which is equal to the currency. And in this, the conservation projects on the map are represented by an area in a satellite image. And this area consists of the square meters, which each square meter has a ID that we can identify. And so here in this, if you can see, here it says ID, payment ID. So in this case, for example, I'm gonna check this example of PayPal. PayPal creates an ID which we match in our platform with our own ID. So this goes to this special project, and it's $25, which is, and this person was responsible for that compensation, and we can find that person in the specific map and the specific donation. Here, for example, it says coupon. Mercado Pago is another payment method, very big in Latin America. And the coupon, it's our own payment method, PiC payment method, which creates another payment ID, which is matched with the same one as in the platform. And we can identify who, for what company, for what NGO is, and through what company. So this is how we can do the traceability from the person, from the project to the NGO, and it goes directly, it says here, payment directly to the NGO. And this business model that we call, it's a B2B, because we partnered with NGOs, so we can offer services to companies, so companies can share that, the B again, with customers, and so their sustainable programs are more live and they can share that with people. Today we work with 15 NGOs administrating 500,000 hectares of private and public protected areas. We have created more than $150,000 in new financing for conservation. And the good thing is that as it is recurring, and these programs last for a while because they are connected with the expenses of sustainable programs, sustainability programs, or marketing budgets, as we saw. Every new company creates like this new layer of financing, so it adds up. And in this NASP business model, we can offer tailor-made programs to companies. This is really important for us. This is not magic. We don't offer magic. We don't offer the promise of work with us or use our technology and you will finance all your projects. It requires commitment. And commitment, here we took this Wharton article, which says that in order for your company, this is company based, in order for your company to travel through this digital transformation, the digital transformation has to come or has to be led from leaders, from the top of the organization. And to do that and to implement it, it's about experimenting, just experimenting, get creative, and start offering new programs. Every program that we have offered, it's a new one. We never copy what we have done before. And as you saw, we have created a monthly compensation for monthly expenses. We have done compensation for traveling. We have done compensation for investments. So we're basically building a monthly bill for every people, for every company. So at the end, we have everyone paying same as they pay for water, they pay for electricity bills at the end of the year, at the end of the month, sorry, for air, in this case, like compensation. So again, this is not a magical solution. It's all about innovation, measuring, and improving. So, and just to end our presentation. I'm just giving you some other examples that we're working on, just to open your mind and see that we also can do some different things with the same technology. We just use the same technology to apply it to other projects. In this case, Pitbox and whales. How are they more valuable to us alive than dead? Because pitbox and whales are extracted for some uses in the industry. Pitbox for substrate and whales for eating. So in this case, we can do the pitbox and whales more valuable when they are alive. And in the food traceability, we use our same system just to make the products are worth more, because you know from where they come, you know the process, that how they become productive. And most important of all, agriculture is responsible for 70% of terrestrial biodiversity loss. So if we are able to give more value to the territory and give more value to the production, that will be translated into a higher price or more value added to intermediaries, retailers, and ultimately to customers. So this was our presentation. I don't know if you have any questions, comments, or whatever. Please feel free to jump in.
Diego, thank you so much for the presentation, and for having worked so hard together with Manuel to produce this really interesting platform. It seems like we always want simple solutions, I think, in conservation finance. Just one solution where we get all of our money. And what I find interesting about your platform is that it acknowledges the complexity of challenges. You need multiple partners to make something effective happen on the ground. For instance, you're partnering with NGOs. The NGOs are the ones working on the ground. They may have a relationship with a private company that then facilitates the relationship with the private company to then bring more people into investing in and supporting the NGO. So I really want to acknowledge how creative and interesting your platform is. It forms a way, it facilitates both companies and NGOs' ability to get individuals to contribute to nature and to connect to their contribution and to the NGOs that they're supporting. So it's really an interesting platform. So congratulations on that. We do have a couple of questions, and what I'll do is, again, thanks everyone for, if you'd like to ask a question, do type it into the chat box, and then I can call on you individually. And we'll start maybe with Josh Noseworthy, and your first question, if you can unmute yourself. If not, let me know, and I'll just read out your question. Josh, we can hear you. Great.
Okay, thank you. Great presentation. The scalability of something like this really seems like the sky's the limit. And I'm just curious, if somebody was interested in replicating this model somewhere else in the world, do you have any advice on how they should get started, or maybe even some advice on things you would have done differently looking back?
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Josh. What took us some years and a while, we experimented with what we presented is the final solution after 5 years of iterating and testing different business models. So what we have done differently is to show companies the value for them. Not that they're doing something great for nature, they don't care about that, but what's the value for them? So that's how we end up in the sustainable programs, and how can they like recurrently give money to conservations without asking or getting out of their budget. They have a budget, they have a way of working. So if you get inside that annual budget, either it's in, if it's marketing or sustainability, whatever, it's gonna be a lot easier to get the financing from them. And just don't see it from your side, from conservation. Just what's the value you're offering for them to get their sustainable program with somebody, with an expert like an NGO, and how clients or customers of that company are beneficiated with partnering with the NGO. I think that's the most important. I don't know if that was clear enough, but hope to.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Josh. And I think that Diego, you had mentioned that you are thinking of expanding. You're in the process of expanding to other countries as well, building on the existing platform that you have. Maybe you could mention that, and then after that, we'll go to James.
Sure. Yeah, sorry for the second part, Josh. We are experimenting in Mexico, an alternative of how we can grow or how we can do this more international, and how we have to figure it out is we are the providers of the technology, and our international partner is in charge of creating, of connecting with companies and offering them carbon footprint programs or services, whatever. In the first part, we are part of the process just to transfer all what we have learned with companies. But ultimately, who is leading this and who is driving all this is the NGO or the fund in different places, and we are the technology providers. That's exactly how we work with NGOs. At the beginning, here we work with NGOs. We go with them the first 6 months or the first year until they manage to structure a sustainable program, and then NGOs get to structure their own. We saw there was the first NGO that we started working with. They already have 9 companies. So it's after 2 years of working with them, they created their own portfolio of companies. But it's technology providers and the first until we can structure something, and then it's all up to you.
Great, thank you, Diego. And now over to James. Barbara.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Perfect.
Thanks, James.
Great. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Diego and his colleagues on a very innovative approach to conservation finance. You know, we're all dealing with a shared crisis right now that's several months long, and it obviously has had some impact on some sectors of conservation philanthropy, such as traveler philanthropy. But I think that Diego could possibly comment on what happens when you get a double whammy, or you get 2 unexpected crises, one overlapping the other, because of the Chilean crisis that began in late last year and has continued, actually overlapped with the COVID crisis. Is how resilient has this model been? How month to month have you seen, as a result of these 2 crises in Chile, an uptick? Are things the same, or is giving less than what it was before these 2 crises hit? Thank you.
Thanks for your question, because as you mentioned it, and for everybody to know, we had social riots which just ended because of the COVID, but those social riots started October 18th. Same day, we launched our program with Santander, which is our biggest program by far. And so we, since the beginning, we dealt with that. And how we can compare the success of what we implemented. In the case of Santander, customers have two alternatives: compensating the footprint, buying carbon bonds, like in the same ones they're trading, or channeling financing to Chilean conservation projects using preserving community. PiC got 75% of the funds, and carbon bonds got 35% of the financing. Carbon bonds add the value of certifications and that you're giving money to a really certified carbon footprint program. We think that people chose the PiC alternative because all the money goes to the NGO, and then you can see like an impact, and your money doesn't dilute in commissions. And because it's local ecosystems, carbon bonds, the closer the Santander got were from Brazil, India, Costa Rica. So I think compared to that alternative, that's a compare thing we can do. We were almost double better than the bonds. And as this COVID crisis translates into an economical crisis, all the, I don't know, for example, we have associated tourism people visiting. We don't have more tourism people visiting, so that dropped dramatically. But for example, with Subaru, we have $9 for each car. Luckily, they've been selling cars, not as before, but they're selling cars. So we are down in an 80% or 90% of pre-social riot financing, which is a lot. But what we have learned is that companies that commit to sustainability, they cannot abandon their commitment to sustainability. Once they go green, kind of saying, they cannot step back, because it's a commitment which is made for the future or for the next 10, 20 years, and they have to support it. And it's as it's part of their sustainable program or marketing program, it goes lower, but it's not that we lose the programs. All programs that we implemented are still going on. Sorry, and for this COVID crisis, we had in the Santander case, we had about 20 days that our campaign, the program was shut off because government was putting money to people. So the bank didn't want to take money from people. And what they did was great, because the bank put the funds that people would have given. So the support was very high. Company got the financing needed as it's part of the program. They took it out from the budget. It's not additional money they're putting, but just to transferring money from their budget. So it hit us hard, but it's really resilient because it's part of the annual budget.
Diego, thank you so much. Really interesting. I'd like to move on to another question. We have about 10 minutes left or so. Jordi had a question about marketing relationships. I'm not sure if it was answered in the previous responses, but Jordi, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask this
Yes,
or another question, please.
Yes, thank you, David. And hello, Diego. Jordi from Catalonia, Spain. I wonder, the NGOs manage their own programs, but in cases like large companies like Santander that you are mentioning, or Subaru, I understand that you do the actual marketing and you reach the companies to get them involved directly. I understand it works that way. And a second related question, like $9 per car that Subaru sells, Do you ask them to do any type of calculation on the actual impact that they are compensating by giving $9 per car, or is it very low, $9 per car? Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for your question, Jordi. Great. So Santander and Subaru are two different examples, as Santander was a program that PiC structured, and Subaru is a carbon footprint program that the NGO itself structured. So those are two different ways of working. And related to the compensation, each company sets its own conservation standards. For example, Santander valued 1 ton of carbon offset in $10, about $10 in Chilean pesos, and they translate the kilos of carbon of each person to money using the $10 bond price, and then they translate the compensation into money. Buddha, for example, did their own, the cryptocurrency platform did their own calculation, and they set each transaction at 0.118 tons per transaction. And in the case of Subaru, they were the ones setting the $9. Of course, it's really low, but I think they use the cost of the materials for building the car and not for the use of the car. The use of the car is up to the person or the owners of the car. So in that case, people should compensate. So I don't know if that's clear for your question.
Yes, thank you. I leave time to other people.
Okay, thanks. Kathy McKeaton, you had a question.
Yes, hi. I hope you can hear me. I've got just all of a
can.
sudden a series of trucks going by.
No, sounds good.
Fantastic presentation, really very interesting. And the small flows are extremely important. Sometimes people see things in very large terms. My question is, some companies, donors, whatever, want to put their mark on a project that's 100% attributed to them. Is there any preference amongst the companies for that, or will they be a co-financier with others?
So just to get your question, is if companies choose the projects or the NGOs?
Well, I mean, choosing NGOs or choosing projects, that's fine. It's a question of, do they want to see their money being 100%, a project that's being done, financed 100% by their monies, or will they accept that they complement other monies that the NGO is using?
Yeah, that's great questions, because we have two different scenarios again. Santander wanted their own projects, and they also wanted that people could donate additionally. So they get to, in the same, the NGOs they're working with, the project are specifically for Santander. In the case of the tourism or the cryptocurrency platform, they basically, they are the opposite. They want more companies to work in the pushing the same conservation projects. But at the end, that's part of the company or the value you add to companies. Companies are different, and you have to be prepared for giving them value, personalized, partnering with other companies, or whatever they want. But yeah, we can go in both directions.
Great, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and we're going to have Benjamin come up in a second. But what I find interesting about that is that it's really important to recognize the different needs of the different companies. And you know, on one hand, it's amazing to see the platform where you could choose different areas to make your donations, and the geographical, you know, relationship. You know, I'm going to invest here in this one place. That's meaningful to the individual, but it also does allow for the companies or NGOs to bring their own strategy and desires and marketing needs to to the platform. So quite interesting. Benjamin, you had a question?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Benjamin from Chile. Hi, Diego. An amazing presentation, and for all your team, very good presentation. I was just wondering if, in continuing with David comments, if you have ever worked as a technology service provider for any conservation project in marine environments, and if these marine environments based on huge Chile's shoreline is attractive for could be attractive for private companies.
Okay, thanks for your question, Benjamin. And great question again, because the important thing for us, for PiC, is that we work in protected areas. Why protected areas? Because we are financing assets in nature or physical assets, not to a private person, just it's public goods. So it's important, for example, in Chile, Latin America, the fact that we have a protected area doesn't mean that the protected area it's a protected area after all, because businesses are also, I don't know, use these protected areas. The protected areas, it's a recognition by the Chilean government or by the private with sorry. Protected areas are a way for us of giving how do you say this? It's about the serious commitment of the NGO getting the financing to invest it in enhanced nature, and enhance nature in a way that won't disappear. If we work with private land that doesn't have a conservation mark or whatever at some level, probably you're beneficiating a person or a company or whatever. So related to your question, as long as the ecosystem we're working with, it's a protected area, doesn't matter if it's a marine protected area, a wetland, mountains, glaciers, we don't care about the ecosystem as long as it is a protected area. And yeah, in Chile, 43% of our marine ecosystems is a protected area, so which has no financing at all. So it would be great to start working with that.
Yeah, and I'm happy to put you two in touch afterwards, because I think there's a very strong opportunity for collaboration there. So thank you, Benjamin. Great. Well, we're coming to the end, and there was a question that came up whether the presentation would be able to be shared online. So maybe if you're okay with that, we'll post the PDF of the presentation along with the webinar recording, so that people can see that. And are you open, just to a final question for me, I guess, are you open for collaboration with other countries? How might that work? Is it too much to do that? Do you in a way, this is what we call white labeling. You can white label the platform, so an NGO in a way in another country could kind of effectively use the platform as you have your clients currently in Chile. So what's your plan for expanding this, and how can the people on the call be helpful for that?
Sure, great question, David. Thanks for that. Since we started, all what we have done, it's about collaboration. People who get like really sort of, I don't know, excited to work with this. That's what we do. We haven't sold any program. We haven't sold, I don't know, any service. It's just companies that wanted to structure the programs came to us and we developed it together. We have learned that we if we chase somebody or if we are like hunting NGOs to work with us, it won't work. And as long as the NGO has the commitment of its leader, or we have a clear counterpart, we happily work with them, because that's the key to success. The technology is not one thing that somebody else is doing or somebody else's business. If we have the commitment of leaders or counterpart, we do it. And we do it exactly in the way that you're mentioning, David. I don't know if white label is a term used, but it's a geek word for us, because it's a software word. And that's how we created this personalized services, because at some point we were the matching platform, but then we learned everybody wanted its tailor-made program. So we implemented this white label stuff. And so to go international or to go to work with any NGO, we just require NGOs to have a commitment, and we deliver this white label, which is, we provide the technology. The content is yours, it's the NGOs, because we basically transform the investigation and green assets into services to companies. So all resources are yours. Private, we are a company, we are a software company. All the information is yours, everything is yours. We just provide you the platform in a white label format.
Excellent. Well, Diego and Manuel, thank you so much for your great project and your contributions to conservation and facilitating this the flow of capital. It's really interesting, and I think there's a great opportunity for expansion. So thanks for sharing with us at the CFA. Just for those of you to know, we have a discussion call coming up a week from today at 10 a.m. You can find out about it online, and it's about the coronavirus and conservation finance. It's second discussion. If you'd like to join, that would be great. Again, thank you everyone for joining the call, and thank you especially to Diego and Manuel, and wish you the best of luck.
Thanks a lot, David.
Okay. Ciao. Bye-bye.